Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Text 34. Bhavayat yesha satvena lokan vai loka bhavanaha lilavatana rato devatiryan naradishu bhavat yat yesha satvena lokan vai loka bhavanaha lilavatara rato deva tiryan naradishu. Thus the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower animals, assuming the roles of incarnations. He performs pastimes to reclaim those in the modes of pure goodness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are innumerable material universes, and each and every universe, there are innumerable planets inhabited by different grades of living entities in different modes of nature. The Lord Vishnu incarnates himself in each and every one of them, and in each and every type of living society. He manifests his transcendental pastimes amongst them just to create the desire to go back to Godhead. The Lord does not change his original transcendental position, but he appears to be differently manifested according to the particular time, circumstances, and society. Paragraph. Sometimes he incarnates himself or empowers a suitable living being, to act for him. But in either case, the purpose is the same. The Lord wants the suffering living being to go back home, back to Godhead. The happiness which the living beings are hankering for is not to be found within any corner of the innumerable universes and material planets. The eternal happiness which the living being wants is obtainable in the kingdom of God. But the forgetful living beings, under the influence of the material modes, have no information of the kingdom of God. The Lord, therefore, comes to propagate the message of the kingdom of God, either personally or as an incarnation, or through his bona fide representative as the good Son of God. Such incarnations or sons of God are not making propaganda for going back to Godhead only within human society. Their work is also going on in all types of societies, amongst the demigods and those other than human beings. End of chapter. I'm going to go back because what I've been doing is sequentially going through these wonderful verses of Canto 1, Chapter 2. And the previous one that I completed was Vasudeva Para Veda, Vasudeva Para Maka, Vasudeva Para Yoga, etc. So 28, 29. So what I'd like to do this morning is just read the verses following that up to this verse, just the verses up to this morning's verse to get the flow. So after glorifying Vasudeva in all respects. Text 30. In the beginning of the material creation, the absolute personality of Godhead Vasudeva, in his transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy. So the cause and effect means the material realm, cause and effect. And he does so through his internal potency. It's significant. I'll read the purport. The position of the Lord is always transcendental because the causal and effectual energies required for the creation of the material world were also created by him. He is unaffected, therefore, by the qualities of the material modes. His existence, form, activities, and paraphernalia all existed before the material creation. And there's a footnote. Sripad Shankaracharya, head of the Mayavad school, accepts this transcendental position of Lord Krishna in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Interesting. He is all spiritual. And he has nothing to do with the qualities of the material world, which are qualitatively distinct from the spiritual qualities of the Lord. That's a mouthful. He is all spiritual, and he has his internal potency as well as his external potency and marginal potency. He has his internal potency. It's by his internal potency. The reflection of the internal potency is the cause and effect of the material world. And then, so he's the cause of all causes. And as the cause of all causes, he causes the material, because that's part of, he's the effect of the cause. And then there's the domino effect, or one cause becomes an effect, which becomes then a cause of something else, becomes an effect, and so forth. And so, from the personality of Godhead, way over here in Detroit, big space and time in between, but there's causation, ultimate causation. And then there's the cause and effect. Take anything. It's winter. So what's that? What's the cause? And you could say this and that and the other movements of the sun, and so is latitude, and you can. There are different descriptions, but behind, there's a cause. So that cause is him, and he has his potencies, which are causal, but then they become cause and effect, especially in the temporary realm, where the cause brings about something that's temporary. Because if he's the cause of everything, he's the cause of the temporary too. Not something he's not the cause of. Directly or indirectly, he's the cause. So, after this glorification of Vasudeva, like a 3-page purport on Vasudeva's everything, then the same Vasudeva's everything personality brings about the material creation by his internal potency. Not his marginal potency, not his external potency, by his internal potency. The internal potency can, by inference, without making it explicit, it can include the reflection of, without saying it explicitly, the reflection of his internal potency, bringing about cause and effect of the material world. Next one, text 31. After creating the material substance, the Lord Vasudeva expands himself and enters into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. Very important teaching. 32. The Lord as super soul. Now, he's moving quickly because there's creation and then there's the Lord who's entering within each universe, etc. As super soul pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood. And so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second. It's a nice metaphor. There's fire in wood, but you don't see the fire in wood because it's not ignited, but it's there. So that's a Vedic conception. It's not just a combustible material and therefore we call it something. There's fire in the wood. So where does the fire that's in the wood come from? Comes from the sun. And the plants or trees have the capacity to gather the fire from the sun and store it. And the fire that's within the wood can come out by contact with fire. Or the condition that creates fire, the heat and light, and then therefore fire. So just rubbing sticks together, a primitive way, but rubbing sticks together can create fire. It's smokes and then comes fire. First comes the smoke, then the fire, because it's within the wood, and we don't see the fire that's within the wood unless it's brought out. So Krishna, similarly, Krishna enters within the material creation as Paramatma, but he's not seen. Who's seen Paramatma? Narada saw, but commonly people don't see unless he reveals himself. So he's there, although not visible to our eye, our material eye. And he may appear, and yogis are searching for that, and that he may appear. And so, although he's within everything, he's not apparent. He's not apparent like fire that's stored in wood. It's a nice metaphor. No, it's something known compared to something not known, but it's a metaphor. It's not exactly, but it's like this, so that. Because there's a time when, when that which makes up wood, which is earth and other elements, don't have the same quantity of fire, but it's the transformation of the fire of the sun that put the fire in the wood. So it's created, in other words. And in the case of super soul, it's not created. It's not. He enters and that's it. He's not detected unless one is, a super qualified person, and then they can detect. The super soul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. Now, this is covering a lot of territory. In Sankhya philosophy, it goes much slower, but this is just kind of high-level summary. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's, to understand it, you have to be able to unpack it. Cause and effect. So the cause of the mind, the subtle mind of a living entity to enjoy the effects of the modes of material nature, that's supersoul. It's not really enjoyment. It's Maya enjoyment, Maya sukha. But this, somebody drinking alcohol or smoking a cigarette, and it's happiness. Or, then at the end of the other modes and thinking that's happiness, not happiness. But supersoul creates the sensation or the mind's orientation to think, happiness. It's the mind and supersoul's influence according to the regard the living entity has for the Supreme and proportionate to. So there's more elevated modes and less elevated modes and in between. But that the enjoyment, the sensibility, the mind's sensibility of when it's like scorching, but that's some persons like it hot, some persons like it cold. Polar bears like it cold. Put a polar bear in a tropical place, they'll expire. Their bodies are not meant for it, but their bodies are meant for where they are. So that's the influence of supersoul. So the body is awarded, and the mind is awarded, and what the senses feel, and what the mind interprets. That's the sense perception. Supersoul. I'll read it again. The supersoul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. It's a big machine. 34. Thus, the Lord of the universes, plural, maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower animals, assuming the roles of incarnations. So from that position as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, he appears, he may. He performed pastimes. What are the purpose? To reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. So that takes elevating people to the pure goodness platform. And that's the verse that we just read. Again, the translation. Oh, we just read the translation. And that's the end of the chapter. So it opens up chapter 3. Chapter 3 begins with the description of avatars. This one, that one, the other one, and a list. And principal ones, and then Krishna is the source of those. So the main message in this series is he's the cause of all causes. And the cause of all causes arranges that something that's a cause then it exists because it's an effect of some prior cause. And you follow the thread back, and there's the cause, the original cause. Sarva Karana Karanam. It's revealing, it's the language of Sri Brahma Samhita and the language of the Bhagavatam are different, but the message is the same. Right here in chapter 2, the process of spiritual elevation, in much slower motion, are described. Those sequence of verses, the stages of bhakti, the stages of realization through the medium of bhakti. From anyone that's just anyone, just a soul that's within material existence. There's a procedure in the human form of life for reawakening the original consciousness. And it's the sound vibration method. The Lord's plan is consistently described as He, the source of everything, Supreme Person, Bhagavan, wants to see the happiness of his part and parcel, like a father and son. Natural. There's some crazy people, but normal people, the father wants to see the happiness of the son. And when the son goes cuckoo, the father is wanting to bring them back. And then you can't force, but you encourage and induce and make arrangements and so forth. So that's material life. But the intervention of Super Soul is there. They want to enjoy, so he gives them the means. This nice verse. Super Soul gives the means for the mind to read the modes of nature are happiness when there's no happiness. Tricky. Illusion is tricky. And how to distinguish reality from illusion, that's the Bhagavatam. The system of entanglement, the complexity of material creation, and understanding how when something wiggles over here, something way over there also wiggles, without seeing the chain. Just we don't see the cause, we see the effect. And whatever it is, happiness or distress, or pleasure or pain, or honor or dishonor, that's in this realm, the duality realm, there's a cause. And cause is in exactly according to the orientation that living entity, the conscious living entity, has towards the source. And then there's different experiences. Up to enlightenment, up to the stage of samadhi or spiritual perfection through the medium of devotional service. That's the practice. And then the awakened state is the pure devotional service state. And everything else that the Supreme Lord, Paramatma, within the heart, within every living entity, is arranging is the progressive ideal, going progressively towards transcendence. Then, as this last verse of the chapter reads, they may not, but they may attain the stage of pure devotional service, or Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. Yeah. Satvena Lokan. So Prabhupada has translated as in the mode of pure goodness, but it's Satvena. But from the particular choice of taking Satvena to mean in pure devotional service or in pure goodness has to do with the bigger context, because that's where living entities are drawn towards Sattva and drawn from Shuddha Sattva to attain him. That's the objective. You want to bring living entities back to the position of happiness, and that's his happiness. So he is engaging his potencies in orchestrating that. And then comes, very logically, comes the description of the various avatars, and what by name and when, and Oh, the history involved, because this is a Purana, so the history involved, their family name, what they do, but it's all part of the picture of the Supreme that's within, organizing things towards spiritual elevation to make it more explicit. Forms of the Lord appear to assist him in different times, place, circumstance. So we often give more focus or attention to the avatars than to the avatari. But of course, the Bhagavatam does both. And that's in chapter 3. Discussion.
Where it is said that he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the pure goodness. Does it mean that he only is reclaiming those actions?
Oh, it's a sutra-like statement, because he does not just that. The answer is, it's, because the personality of Godhead, provides the Vedas, which is a desire tree, and there's all kinds of steps through the modes of nature, karma kanda, and upasana kanda, and bhakti. So to elevate them to that stage, and then it doesn't say all that. It just says what it says.
And also, Maharaj, does pure goodness mean like transcendence, or is there a distinction between?
Yeah, it's Shuddha Sattva, transcendence.
Shuddha Sattva is transcendent.
Well, that's what it means, pure goodness, unmixed, pure. Because goodness is mixed, and pure goodness is unmixed. So to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. So it's not exactly a mode, but it's, the quality of pure goodness. Because the modes are 3, and pure goodness is not one of the 3. Anything else?
So pure goodness does not mean that there is no passion and ignorance.
Try it again.
Does pure goodness mean that non-existence of passion and ignorance is
the absence. Conspicuous by its absence. And, there's goodness only, no mixture. Pure goodness. It's like pure gold, no alloys, unalloyed goodness. And then goodness means with alloys, mixture, more or less, but mixture. And how does, like, that's a classic example, how does gold become pure gold? By fire. And then when in fire, I don't know how it happens, but the other elements, the other minerals, the other metals, they separate out. Exactly how they separate out, I've never observed it, but that's the principle. And when they separate out, then they're extracted, and what's left is pure gold, unalloyed gold, or pure gold. Pure goodness. No mixture. Anybody else? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.